Trump wants Greenland, not to visit, but to take it, to buy it, seize it, even invade it. On the ice, Danish soldiers stand under clear orders. Any hostile move in Greenland will be met with force, even if it comes from the United States. Trump may not send tanks, he may simply declare Greenland an American protectorate, fly in more troops, and dare Denmark to react. Anything that the United States might want to do in Greenland is already possible right now. And yes, Trump is probably right that Denmark wouldn't challenge such a move militarily. But the consequences would be seismic. NATO could fracture overnight. US troops could be ordered out of much or all of Europe. The post-World War II order would begin to collapse. And for Vladimir Putin, this would be a dream scenario, opening the door to pressure the Baltic states, while Xi Jinping might finally move on Taiwan. This instinct to ignore existing borders, laws and treaties, to treat other countries as artificial, to break up trade links and destroy friendships, all because the leader wants to look powerful, is one that Trump shares with imperialists of the past. So the real question is this a Cold War 2.0, or are we entering a new age of empire? Let's break it all down. Greenland is enormous. It's the largest island on Earth, stretching over 2.1 million square kilometers, sitting at the crossroads of North America, Europe, and the Arctic. To put that in perspective, Greenland is bigger than France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and the UK combined. On a map of the United States, it would stretch from Florida to California, and yet almost no one lives there. Greenland's population is just 56,000 people, fewer than a small town. Most settlements cling to the coast, while over 80% of the island is covered by ice. A land this big, this empty, and this strategically placed doesn't stay ignored forever. As climate change melts Arctic ice, that's revealing three things that will define this century. Number one, new shipping routes. Arctic routes could cut shipping time by 40%. China calls this the Polar Silk Road. They are already financing Russian Arctic infrastructure. If China and Russia control these routes, they bypass every choke points the US Navy controls. Number two, rare earth elements. Greenland has massive deposits of rare earths, the material that power AI chips, EVs, weapons, basically all modern technology. Right now, China controls 70% of production and almost 90% of processing. They have a stronghold on the AI revolution. Greenland could break that monopoly. And number three, military infrastructure. The US Pitfak space base in Greenland monitors Russian missiles and protects undersea cables connecting North America and Europe. These cables carry out US communications, economy data, so Greenland isn't about ice, it's about controlling the future, trade routes, technology, resources, and military defense. But here's where it gets dangerous. Greenland belongs to Denmark. Denmark is a NATO ally. They have said clearly, Greenland is not for sale. And Denmark has never stopped the US military from building bases, searching for minerals, or stationing troops in Greenland, or from patrolling sea lines nearby. Trump himself cannot articulate, either at press conferences or apparently over the phone. Why exactly he needs to own Greenland, or how Denmark can give American companies and soldiers more access to Greenland than they have already have. Copenhagen and globally, people suspect a far more irrational explanation. Trump just wants the US to look larger on a map. If the US aggressively pursues Greenland, through pressure, backing independence, whatever, it creates a massive rift with Europe. And that's where things cascade. Look at the Baltics. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, NATO members bordering Russia. Putin has invaded Georgia, seized Crimea, attacked Ukraine. The only thing that's stopping him from taking the Baltics is Article 5 of NATO's collective defense guarantee. But what if NATO fractures over Greenland? What if the US alienates its European allies? What if Putin sees the alliance divided? He might move on the Baltics. And if Russia invades a NATO member and the alliance doesn't respond because they are too busy fighting over Greenland? Xi Jinping is watching. He's been preparing to take Taiwan for decades. The only thing holding him back is the belief that America keeps its commitments. But if NATO splinters, if Russia successfully invades a NATO member without consequences, if US security guarantees look worthless, China invades Taiwan. So basically, we have entered Cold War 2.0. On one side, the US controlling military power, finance and technology. On the other, what I call the dragon bear, Chinese economic reach fused with Russia's military power. And Cold War 2.0 has three fronts. First, the Monroe Doctrine, Western Hemisphere. Second, Iron Curtain 2.0, or Eastern Europe containing Russia. And the third one, the Northern Corridor, the Arctic, that's Greenland. During World War II, the US declared Greenland part of the Western Hemisphere defense. This isn't new. Trump is returning to strategic bases. So what is then this doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine, announced on December 2, 1823 by the US President James Monroe, is one of the most influential pillars of the American foreign policy. And at its core, the doctrine declares that the Western Hemisphere was no longer open to European colonization, and that any political or military intervention by European powers in the Americas would be viewed as a direct threat to the US security. At the time, many Latin American countries had just gained independence from European empires, and Washington feared the old colonial power might attempt to reclaim influence. The Monroe Doctrine was therefore both a defensive warning to Europe and a strategic move to position the United States as a dominant extender power in the region. In the long run, the Monroe Doctrine helped institutionalize the idea of spheres of interest, reinforced US dominance in the Western Hemisphere, and shaped America's self-image as a regional and eventually global security guarantor. The Arctic is emerging as the third front of the great power competition, driven by melting ice, new shipping routes, and access to critical resources. Russia and China conduct joint military exercises in the Arctic. When sanctions hit Russia, Chinese money kept them afloat. In return, Russia gives China Arctic access. Greenland sits at the center of this northern corridor, controlling air, sea, and surveillance routes between North America, Europe, and the Arctic. So, what are the options for the US regarding Greenland? Option number 1. Do nothing. Respect Danish sovereignty, rely on current arrangements. This lets Dragon Bear consolidate Arctic control while US depend on Denmark prioritizing alignment with the US. Option number 2. Aggressively acquire Greenland through negotiation, backing independence, whatever it takes. This fractures NATO and triggers everything I just described. Option number 3. Strategic investment without sovereignty, massive infrastructure development and mining partnership, expanded military presence, through agreements. This is probably the smart play, but it requires patience and doesn't guarantee access if politics shift. The ice is melting, the window is closing, and what happens next will define who controls the 21st century. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments, should the US pursue Greenland? What do you think? See you in the next episode.